Are you a self-managed super fund trustee? If so, this one might be interesting for you regarding beneficiary nominations. A case was heard this year in the Supreme Court where a binding death benefit nomination was made, but that was in fact held in court to be non-binding. There was Mr Munro and his wife Mrs Munro, both were trustees and members of their self-managed super fund. Mr Munro died, and about 2 years before his death he drafted a binding death benefit nomination specifying 100% of his benefits to be paid to the trustee of his deceased estate. Now, his intention was that his death benefits be distributed in accordance with his will, and there was provision in his will for his 2 daughters from a previous relationship. These 2 daughters were not Mrs Munro's daughters. The self-managed super fund trust deed provided that if a binding death benefit nomination complied with the deed and complied with superannuation law, then the trustees of the super fund must follow the nomination, thereby removing any discretion from the trustees. But in terms of the validity of the binding death benefit nomination, one of the provisions was that the nominated beneficiary could be a dependent of the member or the member's legal personal representative, and in self-managed super fund context that generally means executor. So the term executor is often used interchangeably with the term trustee, but the terms and roles are distinct. The court found that because the word trustee was used in the death benefit nomination, it actually became invalid, and the trustees of the super fund, who now were Mrs Munro and her biological daughter, who she appointed after Mr Munro died, had the discretion as to whom they paid the benefits to. By now you will have guessed that the trustees did not pay the death benefits to Mr Munro's estate. Now, in this case, Mr Munro was a lawyer, and he also took advice from his accountant and financial planner in terms of his binding death benefit nomination. Whilst it's possible even now that Mr Munro's accountant and financial planner could be in hot water with Mr Munro's daughters, this story really goes to stress the importance of having an advisor who is well versed in SMSF or self-managed super fund legislation. Tracy Ferguson, thanks for listening.